Old man Woody likes the crooked cock.
Yep. Is it out there the kind of work that, or do you talk about the kind of work you used to do before you got into streaming?
I was a carpet cleaner. So we did carpet cleaning and water damage restoration. It was like 80 to 90 hours a week. Mm-hmm. So I would work 10 to 14 hours a day. Every other Sunday off. So usually in 13-day stretches. And my paychecks were around like $1,000 to $1,500 every other week. It was the worst period of my life.
That's
Holy
terrible.
Shit.
How long did you do that?
Probably about a year and a half. I worked at a casino before then, and then I worked at McDonald's before that. But like, yeah, holy shit, it was so fucking horrible.
Oh, wait, you made $500 for 100 hours?
Like, yeah. So the really weird thing is way that this would work. The way that it would work would be you have to show up at the shop every day at like 6 or 7 a.m. So you roll in, you get your truck ready. But what might happen is you have one job scheduled from 7 to 8, and that'll be a minimum service job. You get $15 for it, right? So I'll work my job from like 7 to 8, and it seems good, 15 an hour. This is why I got suckered into it, right? But then my next job might not be until like 11, and that might be an 11 to 1, right? So I do the 7 to 8. I go back to the shop. I don't really have anything to do for 2 hours. Then I've got a job from like 11 to 1. Maybe that gives me $30, and then maybe I've got one more job at like 4 to 5 or something, or 5 to 6. So I'll make like $40 or $50 in a day, but I'm there for like fucking like 10 or 12 hours, right? That kind of shit with the scheduling of jobs is like, it was so fucking horrible. Yeah. And then some of the work, even for 14, 15 an hour, when you start talking about like tearing insulation off of like the shit behind drywalls and then getting like a chipper and like scraping the fucking shit off the wall that glues the insulation. Oh my God, dude, that work was just fucking horrible shit. Ugh.
Did you ever come across anything just filthy, disgusting in the cleaning biz? Like, what was the nastiest shit you found?
The weirdest, nasty shit? I mean, there was some standard,
or weird,
like,
either one.
So the weirdest job I ever fucking did, I show up at this guy's house, and it's like a standard house, pretty standard. I go upstairs, and there's a guy there, and he's a little bit off. I don't know how to describe it, but just a little bit too rigid, a little bit too concerned with everything going on. And I kind of talk to this guy. He sits down and he's looking at me, and he's like, the only question he asks me is the type of detergent you use, does it encapsulate, or is it emulsifying? And I kind of look at the guy and I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, you can clean my house. So he wants me to do the whole upstairs. It's all carpeted upstairs, the bedrooms and everything, right? So I drag my hoses out of my fucking car, get everything all hooked up, get the corner guards all in, get the little booties around my shoes, and I'm cleaning. And it gets to the point where I clean out the living room, I clean the kitchen, and then I'm working my way down the hallway to the bedroom. And when I get to the there's like a little T intersection where I'm at the end of the hallway, and then there's a room to the left and a room to the right. He is sitting there in the room to the left, and he looks like this, where I can't really see like what's in his waist, but there's a computer monitor that's facing me. There's a camera on top, and there's like a woman in like lingerie, like on like a looks like a campsite, and she's just kind of looking at me, and then he's just kind of looking at me, and I am so fucking uncomfortable right now. And I kind of look at him, and I kind of like wave at him, and I just keep cleaning, and I do my shit. And eventually I finish and I pack my shit up. And it was like the most bizarro fucking experience of my life.
Got a couple of more stains to get in here.
Yeah, like, as I'm working on the other room, like I'm like constantly waiting for this guy to just come behind me and then come beside me. Like just like crazy fucking shit. Like it was so weird. Like the guy was probably, I'm trying to think of this in a nice way, like a special guy, like, is barely able to live on his own. Like he's a little off like that, but oh my God, it was so fucking weird to have that happen. Holy shit.
Did you have to clean the room while he was in there with a cam girl?
I didn't have to clean that room. Thank the fuck. I don't even know what I would have done if I would have had to do that one. Yikes.
He wasn't even courteous enough to angle the computer away as he masturbates while you're cleaning his
house. Well, it looked like he was trying to let the woman see me. So I don't know if I was like playing into some voyeuristic fantasy or something, because the computer, it was one of those really old massive CRT monitors. It was like angled so that I could clearly see it. I'm pretty sure she was looking at me. And then he was like looking at me as like his lap is hidden from me. And I have like no fucking idea. Like, oh God.
That sounds awful.
The worst types of jobs are the carpet cleaning shit. If you have any carpet cleaners in your audience, maybe they can relate, was doing jobs in the winter. Because what would happen is you'd have a giant tank of water in the back of your van, and you turn on your truck-mounted machine. What you would have to do is you'd have to run the cables in and out of the house incredibly quickly, because if you didn't, your fucking lines would freeze. And as your lines would freeze, you would have to like open the line, you'd have to dislodge it, you'd have to dip it into the hot water exchange in your tank, and then you'd have to plug it back in real quick and like run inside, and you had to clean at a certain speed or else shit would start to freeze up and you have to run outside trying to. Oh my god!
All this for $15 an hour at best.
Yeah. Holy shit! It was so fucking horrible. I have like so much like for blue collar workers. That shit is so bad, dude. Oh my god! I feel so bad for people that have to like do.
It's a good experience, though, isn't it?
It
like,
definitely. When I hear other streamers that are like 25 and they're talking about like, oh, dude, like I just can't get out of bed to stream every day, and it's like, dude, I make 20 times as much money as I did to sit down and play computer games versus having to drag a power scrubber off the back of a fucking van that weighs as much as I do. I will do this shit until I fucking die.
Yeah. Like, because you have an appreciation for it.
Oh,
exactly.
Like, you know the value of $1 in a way that they don't.
I've talked so many times about how young people can be ruined by success, and it's true on YouTube. But you also, I mean, it's cliche in Hollywood of child stars and anywhere. This, it ruins you. It ruins you. You don't want.
It does.
You think you're different, that you'll be better, but no. If you hit it big at 16, good luck being 25.
Anthony Cumia talked about that. He's come on our show a few times, of the Opie and Anthony show. I'm not sure. It used to be an XM radio show. I'm not sure if you're familiar, Steve. But
I am.
He was talking about, before he got into radio, he was like a tin knocker, like fixing roofs and putting in AC and that kind of stuff. And he talks about how terrible it was making shit money, working all day. And if you had to poop, you'd have to go out to the van and then get a spackle bucket and squat over it in the back of a hot van and take a shit. And he was talking about how, like, every time he'd be shitting on a 5-gallon bucket in the back of that van, being like, God, like, this can't be all that life is. Like, shitting in a bucket in the back of a van. And so then he got his big paying gig, and of course, you know, really appreciates it.
Actually, this applies like evenly to. This is why I think like student loans are like so fucking weird to me. Like when you're a kid and you haven't worked before, money doesn't mean anything to you. The idea that you take an 18-year-old is like, do you want $150,000 to go to school? Like, well, of course they'll say this, because what the fuck does $150,000 mean? And I noticed that with a lot of streamers that got into it right out of college, when they have to decide, like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do it? Like, oh, I don't know if I make enough money, blah, blah, blah. Like, when I do, like, a sponsorship deal, like, I have a lot of perspective. You know, if some mobile game wants to pay me $10,000 to stream a game for, like, fucking 3 days, it's like, okay, well, that $10,000, that was, like, 6 months of work. Or like 4 or 5 months of work to me that I could do in 3 days. That blows my fucking mind, you know? Or like I can do like 3 or 4 sponsor deals, and this is like the median or like the lower class like income for an entire fucking year. And it's not even hard work, comparatively speaking, you know? Like, not to downplay, you know, being an online figure is incredibly hard, and there's a whole new set of challenges you have to deal with. But like, I would much rather deal with the challenge today of like, how do I deal with people calling me a pedophile or some crazy shit online, versus before, where it's like, how do I deal with the fact that I can't really afford the house that I'm in right now, and I'm not going to school, and I'm working a shit job where I have absolutely no future in front of me, and I've got no light at the end of my tunnel. Like, I'm basically working until I die, you know?
Yeah, it's got probably a very hopeless feeling.
Super fucking hopeless. Oh, yeah. Holy shit. And when you start to fall behind, you're fucked. You have no way out. Nobody to bail you out with any money, because if you're poor, you don't get any bail. All the loans you can take are purposely designed to fuck you as hard as possible, right? Payday loans and title loans and shit, like 5,000% APR. I paid off a bunch of. My uncle came to me one day and showed me like how he was getting money, and I couldn't believe it. He was showing me these slips where he'll take a gun to a pawn shop and he lets them hold on to, like, he's got like a huge collection of World War I and World War II exotic rifles, and he'll let them hold a gun, and they give him $300, and he pays them like $350 back in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, $50 on $300 in 2 weeks. Like, if you do the math, you're like in the tens of thousands of percent of like interest here on this loan. Like, I just got a loan in a house for like fucking 4.25 or like 4%. Like, this is insane how fucked you are in so many different ways when you're poor. Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. And
Louis C.K. has a bit on that that's kind of funny. He's like, you know, when you're broke, they just start charging you for everything. There's fees from your bank. There's fees for this. When you're rich, they just give you money. Here.
Yeah, they waive everything.
Take some more. Totally... Everything's waived, and it's.
Yeah. Was
I ended on that note. I love the wordplay.
That was the best shit I've ever heard.